There is nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to get better, stronger, richer, quicker, or smarter. Everything is within. Everything exists. Seek nothing outside of yourself. Do nothing that is of no use. If you wish to control others, you must first control yourself. You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. You can only fight the way you practice. Step by step, walk the 1,000-mile road. Today is victory over yourself of yesterday. Tomorrow is your victory over lesser men. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. To win any battle, you must fight as if you are already dead. It may seem difficult at first, but everything is difficult at first. The ultimate aim of martial arts is not having to use them. No fear, no hesitation, no surprise, no doubt. It is difficult to understand the universe if you only study one planet. All men are the same except for their belief in their own selves, regardless of what others may think of them. Truth is not what you want it to be. It is what it is, and you must bend to its power or live a lie. If you do not control the enemy will control you. In battle, if you make your opponent flinch, you have already won. The true science of martial arts means practicing them in such a way that they will be useful at any time, and to teach them in such a way that they will be useful in all things. Respect the gods without relying on their help. The purpose of today's training is to defeat yesterday's understanding. Do not waste time idling or thinking after you have set your goals. Be neither insufficiently spirited nor overspirited. An elevated spirit is weak, and a low spirit is weak. Do not let the enemy see your spirit. If you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. Fixation is the way to death. Fluidity is the way to life. The way is in training. Never stray from the way. Do not regret what you have done. The only reason a warrior is alive is to fight, and the only reason a warrior fights is to win. Accept everything just the way it is. In large-scale strategy, it is beneficial to strike at the corners of the enemy's force. If the corners are overthrown, the spirit of the whole body will be overthrown. Know your enemy, know his sword. True warriors are fierce because their training is fierce. Determine that today you will overcome yourself of the day before. Tomorrow you will win over those of lesser skill, and later you will win over those of greater skill. Generally speaking, the way of the warrior is resolute acceptance of death. The path that leads to truth is littered with the bodies of the ignorant. A man cannot understand the art he is studying if he only looks for the end result without taking the time to delve deeply into the reasoning of the study. Perceive that which cannot be seen with the eye. Develop intuitive judgment and understanding for everything. As far as I am concerned, I regret nothing. You win battles by knowing the enemy's timing and using a timing which the enemy does not expect. Whatever your determination or willpower, it is foolish to try to change the nature of things. Things work the way they do because that is the way of things. Unless you really understand others, you can hardly attain your own self-understanding. In strategy, your spiritual bearing must not be any different from normal. Both in fighting and in everyday life, you should be determined though calm. Meet the situation without tenseness, yet not recklessly. Your spirit settled yet unbiased. In time, all things work to your advantage when you pursue them with an open heart. There is timing in everything. Timing and strategy cannot be mastered without a great deal of practice. See to it that you temper yourself with 1,000 days of practice and refine yourself with 10,000 days of training. It is imperative to master the principles of the art of war and learn to be unmoved in mind even in the heat of the battle. Perception is strong and sight weak. In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close and to take a distanced view of close things. Do not sleep under a roof. Carry no money or food. Go alone to places frightening to the common brand of men. Become a criminal of purpose. Be put in jail and extricate yourself by your own wisdom. Water adopts the shape of its receptacle. It is sometimes a trickle and sometimes a wild sea. Polish your wisdom. Learn public justice. Distinguish between good and evil. Study the ways of different arts one by one. You may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor. In all forms of strategy, it is necessary to maintain the combat stance in everyday life and to make your everyday stance your combat stance. Get beyond love and grief. Exist for the good of man. Approach the enemy with the attitude of defeating him without delay. When in a fight to the death, one wants to employ all one's weapons to the utmost. I must say that to die with one's sword still sheathed is most regrettable. You should not have a favorite weapon. To become overfamiliar with one weapon is as much a fault as not knowing it sufficiently well. One must make the warrior walk his everyday walk. It is said the warrior's is the twofold way of pen and sword, and he should have a taste for both ways. Even if a man has no natural ability, he can be a warrior by sticking assiduously to both divisions of the way. No man is invincible, and therefore no man can fully understand that which would make him invincible. Immature strategy is the cause of grief. Do not let the body be dragged along by mind, nor the mind be dragged along by the body. If you do not look at things on a large scale, it will be difficult to master strategy. If the enemy stays spirited, it is difficult to crush him. If you want to learn the craft of war, ponder over this book. The teacher is as a needle, the disciple is as thread. You must practice constantly. Crossing at a ford occurs often in a man's lifetime. It means setting sail even though your friends stay in harbor, knowing the route, knowing the soundness of your ship and the favor of the day. Speed is not part of the true way of strategy. Speed implies that things seem fast or slow according to whether or not they are in rhythm. Whatever the way, the master of strategy does not appear fast. Do not act following customary beliefs. Fixed formation is bad. Study this well. Pay attention even to life's trifles. Also by training, you will be able to freely control your own body, conquer men with your body, and with sufficient training, you will be able to beat 10 men with your spirit. When you have reached this point, will it not mean that you are invincible? When you have attained the way of strategy, there will be nothing that you cannot understand. You will see the way in everything. When the enemy starts to collapse, you must pursue him without the chance of letting go. If you fail to take advantage of your enemy's collapse, they may recover. To become the enemy, see yourself as the enemy of the enemy. In the void is virtue, and no evil. Wisdom has existence. Principle has existence. The way has existence. Spirit is nothingness. Do not let your opponent see your spirit. People in this world look at things mistakenly and think that what they do not understand must be the void. This is not the true void. It is bewilderment. This is truth. When you sacrifice your life, you must make fullest use of your weaponry. It is false not to do so, and to die with a weapon as yet undrawn. If you learn indoor techniques, you will think narrowly and forget the true way. Thus, you will have difficulty in actual encounters. When you cannot be deceived by men, you will have realized the wisdom of strategy. With your spirit open and unconstricted, look at things from a high point of view. All things entail rising and falling timing. You must be able to discern this. If there is a way involving the spirit of not being defeated, to help oneself and gain honor, it is the way of strategy. By knowing things that exist, you can know that which does not exist. The spirit of defeating a man is the same for 10 million men. The strategist makes small things into big things, like building a great Buddha from a 1-foot model. The way of the warrior does not include other ways, such as Confucianism, Buddhism, certain traditions, artistic accomplishments, and dancing. But even though these are not part of the way, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. To cut and slash are two different things. Cutting, whatever form of cutting it is decisive, with a resolute spirit. Slashing is nothing more than touching the enemy. When you attack the enemy, your spirit must go to the extent of pulling the stakes out of a wall and using them as spears and halberds. From inside fortifications, the gun has no equal among weapons. It is the supreme weapon on the field before the ranks clash. But once swords are crossed, the gun becomes useless. Cutting down the enemy is the way of strategy, and there is no need for many refinements of it. There are many ways of understanding simple things, but generally, the opposite is true for difficult ideas. In contests of strategy, it is bad to be led about by the enemy. You must always be able to lead the enemy about. Always return your weapon along the same path it traveled out on. In this way, you can use it again without having to relocate and rethink our attitude. When your spirit is not in the least clouded, when the clouds of bewilderment clear away, there is the true void. The warrior is different in that studying the way of strategy is based on overcoming men. It is difficult to realize the true way just through sword fencing. Know the smallest things and the biggest things, the shallowest things and the deepest things. If you are not progressing along the true way, a slight twist in the mind can become a major twist. This must be pondered well. Second is the way of the merchant. The winemaker obtains his ingredients and puts them to use to make his living. The way of the merchant is always to live by taking profit. To know 10,000 things, know one well. Perception is strong and sight weak. In strategy, it is. If you have liked this motivational quotes, please share your valuable experiences in comment section. They are much appreciated.